Hello, this is Jeff with Guitar 21. Today I'm going to give a quick video on how I manage rig names and set lists on my Headrush Prime. So this Sunday night I will be playing at student ministry at the youth group, and I have decided that I'm going to play my SG guitar. So what I will do is create a new rig. I have one rig that I use for my SG on the Prime, but I've decided I want to try out a new rig and clone that I got from Primal Guitar. So here's what I do. You can see currently I'm on a set list named Riviera. That's for my Riviera guitar. What I'm going to do is drop down here to SG. And now you can see that I've got an SG Lone Star Church stereo. So it's automatically selected that one because it's the only one in there. Close that window. SG is from my SG, Gibson SG. Lone Star is a Mesa Boogie Lone Star. It's going to be a church rig, which helps me differentiate between other kinds of rigs because the church rigs are going to be typically lower gain and more emphasis on ambient tones, reverbs, delays, choruses, things like that. So, and a lot of those things will be on and up by default versus how I might normally use my SG in a different environment or even just playing around the house. And then it's stereo. I don't personally like the way that chorus, for example, sums down automatically into mono. Sometimes I do play mono. If I plug in only the XLR left or the 1/4 inch from the left side out, the Headrush will note that I'm not in stereo. It will sum everything down and send it to front of house in mono. However, I don't like what that does to chorus, especially if the chorus has been set up for stereo. Typically the depth and rate are off, the mix amount is wrong. It just doesn't sound the same. So I will either pick a preset that is for mono and or at least adjust some of these other parameters. That's how I do it. So sometimes I don't name stereo on there. I'll just leave it as no description. Mono will mean mono. Blank will mean stereo, kind of the default, or sometimes I put stereo on there. So that's how I name rigs so I can organize them. So in this case, I want to use an orange OR120. So what I'm going to do, let me point this out real quick, is there's a difference here, and this confused me at first. This set list button is how you edit set lists, how you create new set lists. It is not how you load a set list. So for example, if I dropped this down here and went back to that Riviera set list and wanted to get this AC30 to load, I can't do that from here. And even though I've selected it here and I've tried to click this, when I come back to edit rig, I'm not on that one. I'm still in the SG set list here. So this set list button, for clarity, is about editing and creating set lists, not loading set lists. To load a set list, you come to the rig view and drop the set list down here. Then when you select one, it changes. So that's just for clarity's sake. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go back here to the SG. So that'll already be on that screen when I come back. I'm coming to the edit set list button. This is where I'm at. So now I know the one that I want is called Citrus. So here it is, Primal Guitar Hybrid Citrus. I'm going to drag this over. Wait to get the little green light line there so that it lines up, and drop it in. So now I have both of these. You can see the asterisk here because the set list is now changed. So I'm going to hit the save button. It's not a new set list, I'll just hit save. And now I have my SG set list with these two items in here. Now the next thing I do, because this one rig is the one copy of this rig no matter what set list it is in, it's always in all rigs, I can also put it in multiple other set lists I make. So that means if I turn down the reverb or turn up the gain on this one rig, it's going to affect it in all set lists. Well, I probably want different settings for this if I'm just going to play some blues around the house than I do if I'm going to play in church with this rig. So I need two different copies of it that don't change each other. So how I do that is I hit the save button. I'm going to save it as a new rig, and I'm going to call it SG Orange OR 120 Church Stereo. This way I know that it'll have some settings by default that are more ambient for church, and it's in stereo. If I didn't have enough space in here to put all these words, if I was trying to be descriptive about the kind of amp, I might just drop off stereo and leave it plain. But if it's going to be mono, I'll definitely put mono. So now I've saved that, and here is the name of the rig. So now let's look, and we see inside the SG set list, we've got the Lone Star, Mesa Lone Star that I had in here, the Primal Guitar Citrus that I copied into here, and now the renamed version of that same set list, which is beginning to be set for my SG. So what I sometimes will do is leave this one in here while I work back and forth. That way, if I make some changes and decide I don't like something, or maybe I didn't realize I changed something and suddenly it sounds wrong, I can just hop back to this inside the same set list. In other words, I can do this in the set list or with the foot switches to go between the two rigs to have the default and then make my edits. So I will typically leave it in here. Then once I get this version of the rig set up how I want it, I'll come back in and delete the original version. And then I'll just be left with two that are tweaked specifically for my SG. So that's how I manage rig names and set lists inside of the Prime, Headrush Prime product. I hope that helps you. Please like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.